Trumpets were blowing all around, loud and brazen. The wildlings have no trumpets, only war horns. They knew that as well as he did. The sound sent free folk running in confusion, some toward the fighting, others away. A mammoth was stumping through a flock of sheep that 3 men were trying to herd off west. The drums were beating as the wildlings ran to form squares and lines, but they were too late, too disorganized, too slow. The enemy was emerging from the forest, from the east, the northeast, the north, 3 great columns of heavy horse, all dark glinting steel and bright wool surcoats. Not the men of Eastwatch. Those had been no more than a line of scouts, an army. The king. Jon was as confused as the wildlings. Could Robb have returned? Had the boy on the Iron Throne finally bestirred himself? "You'd best get back inside the tent," he told Val. Across the field 1 column had washed over Harmer Dogshead. Another smashed into the flank of Tormund's spearmen as he and his sons desperately tried to turn them. The giants were climbing onto their mammoths, though, and the knights on their barded horses did not like that at all. He could see how the coursers and destriers screamed and scattered at the sight of those lumbering mountains. But there was fear on the wildling side as well. Hundreds of women and children rushing away from the battle, some of them blundering right onto the hooves of garrons. He saw an old woman's dog-cart veer into the path of 3 chariots to send them crashing into each other. "Guards," Val whispered. "Guards, why are they doing this?" "Go inside the tent and stay with Darla. It's not safe out here." It wouldn't be a great deal safer inside, but she didn't need to hear that. "I need to find the midwife," Val said. "You're the midwife. I'll stay here until Mance comes back." He had lost sight of Mance, but now he found him again, cutting his way through a knot of mounted men. The mammoths had shattered the centre column, but the other 2 were closing like pincers. On the eastern edge of the camps, some archers were loosing fire arrows at the tents. He saw a mammoth pluck a knight from his saddle and fling him 40 feet with a flick of his trunk. Wildlings streamed past, women and children running from the battle, some with men hurrying them along. A few of them gave Jon dark looks, but Longclaw was in his hand, and no one troubled him. Even Varamir fled, crawling off on his hands and knees. More and more men were pouring from the trees, not only knights now, but free riders and mounted bowmen and men-at-arms in jacks and kettle helms, dozens of men, hundreds of men. A blaze of banners flew above them. The wind was whipping them too wildly for Jon to see the sigils, but he glimpsed a seahorse, a field of birds, a ring of flowers, and yellow, so much yellow, yellow banners with a red device. Whose arms were those? East and northeast, he saw bands of wildlings trying to stand and fight, but the attackers rode right over them. The free folk still had the numbers, but the attackers had steel armour and heavy horses. In the thickest part of the fray, Jon saw Mance standing tall in his stirrups. His red and black cloak and raven-winged helm made him easy to pick out. He had his sword raised, and men were rallying to him, when a wedge of knights smashed into them with lance and sword and long axe. Mance's mare went up on her hind legs, kicking, and a spear took her through the breast. Then the steel tide washed over him. It's done, Jon thought. They're breaking. The wildlings were running, throwing down their weapons. Hornfoot-men and cave-dwellers and thens in bronze scales, they were running. Mance was gone. Someone was waving Harmer's head on a pole. Tormund's lines had broken. Only the giants on the mammoths were holding, hairy islands in a red steel sea. The fires were leaping from tent to tent, and some of the tall pines were going up as well. And through the smoke another wedge of armoured riders came, on barded horses. Floating above them were the largest banners yet, royal standards as big as sheets, a yellow one with long pointed tongues that showed a flaming heart, and another like a sheet of beaten gold, with a black stag prancing and rippling in the wind. "Robert," Jon thought for one mad moment, remembering poor Owen. But when the trumpets blew again, and the knights charged, the name they cried was "Stannis! "Stannis! Stannis!" John turned away and went inside the tent.